The Icelandic Highlands are a place most travelers will never see. Tucked far off the ring road, these trails don't just feel remote, they are remote. No tour buses, no roadside cafes, not a Wi-Fi signal to check how lost you are. This is the heart of Iceland's wilderness, and it's a world away from the famous spots most people flock to. Sprawl between the north and south coast like nature's no man's land, a place where volcanic ridges, glacial rivers, and endless moss-covered plains collide to create something other unworldly. These trails are hidden on purpose, designed by Amarok Adventures to keep you well beyond the reach of the usual tourist crowds. But the real magic? It's just you, 12 like-minded adventurers, and miles of uninterrupted wilderness for days. You ready to see an untamed part of this world? Let's go! Imagine stepping into a landscape that feels like another planet, where it's just you, the mountains, and 12 other people for miles. This is the Icelandic Highlands. Out here, there are no crowds, no distractions, just wild beauty, endless trails, and a silence so profound it's almost deafening. For 12 days, I hiked across Iceland's hidden trails, an untamed, unspoiled stretch of wilderness far from the crowds of the Laugavegur trail. This was pure magic and solitude. No easy outs, just raw, untouched beauty and the challenge of the wild. But this isn't just a story about where I went. It's about what I found there, in the silence, and the sheer magnitude of this place. Discovering what happens when you strip everything else away and let the wilderness speak for itself. Being here is a reminder of how small we really are and how spectacular that can feel. The Highlands don't just humble you, they wake you up. Before we dive deeper, let's talk some logistics. This 90-mile, 12-day journey starts and ends at Laugavegur, one of Iceland's most famous trails. But here's the best part. We're not sticking to the well-trodden paths. This trek takes you the very long way around for 90 miles of some of the most epic hiking I've ever done, detouring into places so remote, even Google Maps throws up its hands and says, "You're on your own." It's a physical challenge, sure, but out here, the beauty is so surreal, you forget the miles stacking up beneath your boots. And because Amarok Adventures has done such a brilliant job crafting this expedition on truly hidden trails, I'm keeping those specific location secrets intact. Instead, I'm going to paint you a picture of the landscapes that'll blow your mind with what I experience day by day. Our journey begins in the rhyolite mountains of Laugavegur, a kaleidoscope of colors that shift with the light, greens, golds, blues, and rusts that seem almost too vivid to be real. The colors stretch endlessly, creating a surreal palette that goes on for miles. The terrain is alive with geothermal steam vents and hot springs. The smell of sulfur reminds you this land is very much in motion. As we descend, the landscape transforms into endless lava fields, their jagged shapes a stark and humbling contrast to the vibrant mountains surrounding us. And that's just the first part of this journey. I couldn't believe what I'd already seen and couldn't imagine it getting more breathtaking until it did. As we drive deeper into the Highlands, the landscapes shift. During the migration season, you might be lucky and spot Icelandic horses moving gracefully across the horizon. But then all of a sudden the van stops. There's no trailhead, no signpost, just a drop-off in what is the middle of nowhere. This is where civilization ends and true adventure begins. Around us are volcanoes cloaked in moss, from the base all the way up to their summits. Their green hues breaking up the vast stretches of black sand that seem to go on forever. And just as you get to the summit of this surreal landscape, you find yourself looking out at glaciers stretching across the horizon 180 degrees. Their icy blue expanse is jaw-dropping, but below, a valley of turquoise lakes shimmers like something out of a painting, surrounded by rugged peaks that seem untouched by time. And then there are the volcanic canyons, carved by millennia over the power of lava. You find yourself first standing at the top of it, and then you start descending down the scree, deeper into the floor of the canyon, plunging into ancient depths where waterfalls tumble, with only the sound of water and your footsteps to keep you company. Other days take us through endless fields of moss, so vibrant and soft it feels like it's been sprinkled with a touch of fairy magic. It's impossible not to feel like you've stepped into another world, especially when other times you find yourself surrounded by sharp, dramatic peaks that make you feel like you've never seen anything like it. And then there are the stretches of desolate, otherworldly terrain where life almost seems to vanish. It's here that you notice the smallest details, delicate flowers grazing the volcanic floor, their stark colors standing in contrast to the dark, barren earth. Walking through such vast emptiness, surrounded by nothing but silence and endless horizons, is breathtaking in a way that words can't capture. But it wouldn't be a complete adventure in the Icelandic Highlands if not for the river crossings, and there are a lot of them. Glacier-fed and icy enough to take your breath away. Our goal each day was simple, to make it from one hut to the next. These mountain huts are rustic and remote. The simplicity of it all strips everything down to what really matters, the sense of accomplishment and the deep connection to the land around you. Now I want to talk to you for a minute about the magic of those backcountry huts and camaraderie in the Highlands. Because when you're walking through 90 miles of Iceland's backcountry, the huts become your sanctuary. After a day of battling the elements, you arrive at a tiny cabin tucked in the wilderness with your adventure mates. And there's this unspoken bond that forms the second you step through the door. Everyone there has hiked the same trail, faced the same challenges, and arrived with the same goal. You find such a bond in the smallest things, wringing out socks, comparing blisters, or laughing over who packed the most useless piece of gear. There's something so beautiful about how quickly your guard goes down when the wilderness strips everything away from you. Over 12 days, we laughed, cried, danced, stunk, and snored together. There's no pretense, no small talk, just raw, honest connection. Strangers become friends, and I made some of the best friends in my life doing this adventure. There's a magic in those huts that's hard to explain. Maybe it's the shared struggle or the fact that everyone leaves their ego out the door. Out here, you're just people, tired, grateful, and connected in ways that feel really rare these days. This is what makes the Icelandic Highlands unforgettable. It's not just about the landscapes, as mind-blowing as they are. It's about the quiet moments of solitude and the bonds you forge with people who, for a brief window of time, become a part of your story. There's something deeply satisfying at standing at the top of a climb after a big day, knowing your legs carried you there, got you to the place where the world feels untouched. This is a journey into the heart of Iceland's wild soul. You feel it in every fiber of your being. And here's the truth, these trails are hidden for a reason. They're not for everyone, and that's what makes them so special. And that's why having a guide like Amarok Adventures changes the game. You're not just hiking, you're exploring with guides who literally know this land like a second home. They let you focus on the journey, not the logistics. It's a kind of experience you simply couldn't replicate on your own. With all the adventure I experienced, this trek didn't just take me across 90 miles of Icelandic wilderness. It took me deeper into myself. It broke me, built me, showed me what I'm made of, and it's experience that will stay with you long after your boots are off and the soreness fades. It's a kind of adventure that changes you, a once in a lifetime that you must do. So if you've been waiting for a sign to take on your own epic journey, this is it. The trails are right out there waiting for you, because the Icelandic Highlands are one of the last places on Earth where the wild still feels truly wild, where you can feel the power of nature and the clarity that comes from stepping away from everything else. If you're craving solitude, connection, and the kind of beauty that lingers in your soul long after you leave, this is where you'll find it. And to help make the magic happen, I've put links to the Hidden Trails of Iceland adventure with Amarok Adventures in the description and the pinned comment at the top. If this episode inspired you, give me some love in the comments. And if you're ready to explore more untamed places, hit that subscribe button because our adventure is just beginning. Here's to the wild, the beautiful, and the unforgettable. Until next time, my friend, stay curious, stay bold, and as always, keep exploring. Hey, thanks so much for watching today's episode. Take a second and like this video, then subscribe to explore this so you can get notified on when the next episodes come out where we're going to be seeking adventure, tasting the world, and discovering everything. So excited to have you with me. I'm your host, Jenna Hanna, and I will see you next time.